actually love to talk about money with other musicians. I've been doing it for a long time, and I hope you'll forgive me for recycling just the first couple minutes of an old talk that I've given before, but I've been asked to give it again by people who are here. So here we go. We are here to begin to talk about rafts. This is illustrations by my partner, Pat Race. We are here to talk about rafts. We all have rafts. It's not a perfect metaphor. I hope you will hang in there. We don't have nice, shiny, one-piece fiberglass boats. No, we put together our lives out of lots of little pieces of money that come from lots of places. The majority of us in this room, especially those of us who are Alaskan Swiss Army knives. We have different planks that we might use, and everybody uses different ones. Crowdfunding, merch, patrons, fatty trust fund, wealthy spouse, parents, whatever you're relying on, or just, the beneficence of the Costco ramen prices when they drop enough for you to keep going, right? These are the planks in our raft, and each of us is clearly pulling together the pieces of the raft that work for us. Like we're grabbing driftwood while we're out on the beach, right? And putting together something that is going to work to maybe, if we're lucky, float one person, right? So you might choose 4 things that work for you, but they might not work for someone else, right? So, for example, sales, grants, crowdfunding, and teaching. And that's how you might stay afloat as a musician. But of course, they won't all be in equal size, will they? Some of them are going to bear more weight than others. Part of that is because we have different talents. Part of that is because we have different time frames that we're working in, or different opportunities that are in front of us, different gifts. And part of that is sometimes the economy that we're in and something we really can't control, right? For example, it's very normal for education to be the largest part of a performer's income if they're a full-time musician. That is something that we learned through the music census. One thing that I try and remember is that I might have a way I gig, but other people have different ways they get paid for things. Not just gigs, but for example, running the soundboard, or working with a theater company, or playing at the local Catholic Mass in the evenings, or whatever music work someone might be doing, repairing guitars, building guitars, inventing new plugins for Pro Tools. There are a lot of different ways to get paid. And if you think you're stuck in one way, in one method, you might try re-examining. It's amazing how often you can renegotiate the terms of the way that you work when you remember how many different ways there are to get paid. There's also the not getting paid, which is always an option. I encourage people to be judicious about when they choose that one. It's good to choose sometimes. Sometimes you get spiritual payment, and that is absolutely worth it. I consider that it's only worth that sort of spiritual payment as long as I'm not hurting another musician by perpetuating a race to the bottom by working for free. Sometimes working for free is how we have a good community. It's how Folkfest runs, for example. And Folkfest has shaped this entire state in a way that is amazing. We have thousands of little kids running around knowing how to play 3 chords on guitar because of that. And it's appropriate to play for free because you're not hurting anyone. But when you play a friend's wedding for free, maybe that sets the bar low, right? That tells them that it's not of value. All right, so we're moving back to our rafts. What does your raft look like? What are the pieces in it? If you were going to draw a little raft sketch, what would it be? What are your planks? How big are they? Which ones are load-bearing? Are any in trouble? And are there any that you might want to add, for a little bit more stability, for a little bit different motion on the water? The reality in Alaska, we know from surveying, is that the majority of people have a great big plank, and that's a day job. And that is valid as heck, I just want to say, okay? Like, this is how a ton of musicians operate in Alaska, and that is okay. We don't have to change that, I would say, because to me that says that music is a very important part of people's lives that they want to continue doing. I want this to be a music environment where people can launch full-time if they want, but I don't want it to be an environment where we tell people that they're not really participating if they're not doing this all the way, right? I'm a fan of a sustainable music environment more than a sexy music environment. I mean, I'm a fan of both. I would like them both, honestly. But I think the sustainability is where we keep tripping up, right? And encouraging sustainability in whatever form it comes in makes sense. So this is a normal way that Alaska musicians make things work, right? What is the most important part of a raft? It is the rope. Without the rope, you have nothing. What is the rope? The rope is your craft. If your raft is not holding together, revisit your craft. If your craft is not good enough, if your craft is stagnating, if you're not actually practicing, you're just kind of expecting applause and lauds and all the other things, if you haven't tried anything new in a long time, if you haven't pushed yourself, if you're not disciplined, if you're not reaching, maybe your rope's fraying. Maybe that's why you're losing sticks. Maybe that's why things are rotting. Revisiting your craft and pushing yourself to continue to be excellent, to be able to turn heads. When you walk into an open mic and nobody knows who you are, can you make everyone shut up? That's an important measure of when you're ready to take yourself seriously as a musician and demand that other people do too. When you can't do that yet, that's fine, good. Keep working on your craft. That's what holds it all together. Don't ever confuse rope with something you're entitled to. It's something you weave. So when your craft is not together, then you can see what happens. But this is also what happens when stormy seas hit and things out of your control occur, right? This is a state that I think a lot of people find themselves in. The good news is it's not permanent. It is possible to continue to evolve the way that you move through the world, the way that you move through the water. That's okay. That's normal. But if you're not thinking about it, if you're not being deliberate about it, this is often where you wind up, right? So doing your financial footing on purpose, like you mean it, thinking about what it is, if it is what you want it to be, and how you would change it if you wanted to add a new plank. It's not that hard to be like, I think I'm going to set up a Patreon, or I think I'm going to cancel that Patreon that's not doing anything and start going out and doing like a regular Friday night gig. Even if it's kind of cheap, it'll build up my chops and I'll get some tips and I'll get some practice, right? Like, pick a different thing to try. You always have that option. Just do it on purpose. Common sailing conundrums. Boats are money pits. Being a musician is often a money pit. So if you're doing it, it should be because it makes you happy, right? It should be something that makes you if it's making you miserable and anxious, reconsider what you're expecting from yourself and from it. Don't get into raft envy. It's awful. Take lessons from every sailor you meet. This is the most important one for those of you in bands or seeking bands. Don't ever sink somebody else. Don't ever invite someone else onto your raft unless you know it's a damn yacht, right? I have seen this happen to people. It has ruined relationships, marriages, it has ruined lives. And it has done this in our community, and it will again. Don't ever invite someone onto something that is not ready to support them. Think flotilla. You want to tie two boats that float together. You don't want to put two people on one little dinky raft. Is that right? You hear me? Yeah. Yeah. So be aware of what you're asking someone else to do when you're joining your finances in a band or any kind of venture. All right. So here's a palate cleanser. So last year we did the Alaska Music Census. This was my entire life for about 2 years. And it was amazing. And you guys were amazing. Some things that it told us were nice and concrete. For example, the 5 most common ways musicians earn money in Alaska. These are the 5 most common planks, visualized helpfully by Lisa Hawkins. Thank you. Right? Live performance pay, 52%. 25% teaching, coaching, and workshops. Selling recordings, 13%. Recording, 10%. Selling merch, 10%, right? And then the 5 most niche, which I like. I think I've done all of them. I like niche. Don't fish where everyone else is fishing. I enjoy the video games one particularly. Are you aware how much music video games need? Make friends with video game makers and convince them not to use stock music and AI and to use you instead because you're better, and it can be really fun. So one of my favorites, how much of your income comes from music activity? This gives us a portrait of Alaskans, right? Like I said, most people do have that big job plank supporting them, right? But at the same time, we have here about a solid 25% that are working musicians, where that is the most of their income. I also enjoy that it varies too much from year to year for me to say, because I think I know those people. So this is what we saw reported through COVID, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. We separated out artist income from educator income. And artist income is all artist income. That can include being a recording engineer. It can include being a luthier. It can include all of those things. Educator income can include any kind of music teaching with the school district, which means kind of a salary job, or it can mean tiny bit on the side, right? So averages are tricky, right? They don't always tell you what you want to know. Here's the medians, which is more accurate, right? These are not high numbers. But at the same time, when you think that only about 25% of us are trying to make a full-time living on music, that's actually not that bad. Could be a lot better. But what it tells us is that we are a network of a whole lot of trees who are not relying 100% on this one nutrient, right? And that might make us stronger if we can stick together, if we can cooperate, if we can collaborate, if we can build a root network, right? That can be a source of strength that is going to allow some people sometimes on your 25-ish% to be able to do it full time if that works for them. One of the most interesting things to me, we asked tricky questions so we could do some fun math. We asked people, how many hours a week do you spend on music making, including rehearsal, admin, writing charts, all of it, preparing your curriculum for lessons, anything. 20 hours a week. That's a lot of life to give to music. That's a lot. The median is 12. That's an entire day a week. Amazing. Amazing. And this is from 1,331 people across the state. That's a very high median. And then, because we asked them how much money they made, we were able to do some simple division, which is income per hour spent in a year, right? So what you're paying yourself per hour, less than minimum wage, right? I don't see that as discouraging. I see that as a marker of how important it is to us. I see it as an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to express that this work has so much more value than we are getting for it. And that we are very generous, thank you very much, for offering this to you, our community. It also, though, is a message that we need to value ourselves. We need to value our own work. Doesn't mean we should play less. Doesn't mean we should quit if we're not earning enough. What it does mean is that we should look at ourselves and say, what I am doing is very valuable. Like if I were getting paid properly, if I were getting paid even a reasonable $25-30 an hour for music, like that would be worth it for all the things I prop up, the things I do, the benefit I bring. And I am undervalued by this metric. I would argue it's not the most important metric, those dollar signs, but my work is valuable. Certainly is valuable to the rest of the world. In 2019, so before COVID, although numbers bounced back to about the same in 2021, we saw 221 million brought to the Anchorage economy by music workers. That includes people, for example, like the bartenders at Coots, who would surely not be employed without musicians, right? And the number of people directly employed in Anchorage in music had actually bounced back by 2022 to higher than 2019. So from 991 to 1029, that's a lot of people. And that was only the ones, that was not only the ones who reported to us, that was the estimate of this company, Sound Diplomacy, and they were only counting full-timers. We count part-timers also as a key part of our music economy. So that is a lot more people actually working in music than that. My general principle is that if we want to get paid more, step one is to start talking to each other about money and not being so weird and stuck up and American about it. So let's get over ourselves now. I have asked a few friends to share candidly with me about money. And I'm going to ask you guys to come up here one at a time. I'll tell you when. And we'll back and forth a tiny bit. You'll be able to see everything on screen. We won't address it all. I'll just ask a question or two. And these are people who these are people who are gigging a lot. These are people who we know. That's because I didn't want to ask total strangers to come up here and bear their finances to me. But if you want to do that next year, yes, absolutely. Let's all do it. So I asked a couple different professional musicians who are working hard to tell me about it. I got some of the Blackwater Railroad crew, Pipeline Vocal Project, Dude Mountain, who are willing to tell me numbers. So Tyson, can I get you first? Hop on up here. Bring your soda.
Hello. I got you. I think I know how to work one of these.
Pick a joint, man. You did all three.
You got to work them all. How's it going, everybody?
I just wanted to make Lucy laugh. So, Tyson, you are both a solo artist and a member of a band that takes up a lot of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say Blackwater is the lion's share by far, and the solo artistry stuff has kind of crept back into my life after I got Blackwater established. I was able to have the luxury of doing solo work again.
All right. I do not envy you the bookkeeping of having two different jobs that are both music. All right. So, full-time musician, but I love the average gig pay, 300 plus food and beverage accommodations. That was a good thing to mention. I think the food and beverage accommodations. And so you and I both came to a point where as solo artists, we were like, I don't think I want to do barroom shows. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I mean, for me and my style of writing, I'm a sucker for a good story, so I want people to listen, you know. And when you're in the bar rooms, it's very rare that you get people's full attention unless you're making a spectacle out of it, and that's not really why I'm there. Blackwater, it's a spectacle, right? But the solo stuff, it's about trying to share the stories, you know. So I look for those kind of venues.
Absolutely. And I'm going to ask Braden, hop on up here. So things change when you got a band.
Yeah.
Not only a band with some momentum to move around and demand more money, but also a band with mouths to feed. That's a lot of people.
Indeed.
To support.
Hi, I'm a mouth.
You're so much more than that, Braden.
I play saxophone, so it's basically
okay. Fair enough. You're a mouth.
There's fingering too. All right, so I want to ask about this. You started out as we're getting nerdy here, but you're stuck in here with me. So you started out as a C Corp, and you recently transitioned to an S Corp. What was that about, and was that a group decision? Quick.
We started making, in our opinion, not too much money, but in the eyes of the tax man, it was too much money for a C Corp. So S Corp, it's for bigger corporations that hit a certain number annually, and it helps you to be able to, not get completely destroyed by taxes for us.
Yeah, that SC schedule is difficult.
Good times.
Average gig pay, 35 to 5,000, right? But then you divide that among 5 people.
Correct.
And how many times can you guys reasonably play a month in Alaska before you have to go out on tour, which is way more expensive?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that we're gigging at least 4 to 6 shows a month, but I mean, we would cover the entire state to do it, to not like fatigue our audience, and we still feel like we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to spread it out, and the way we get to these numbers is like we had to do 7 years of barroom shows and getting paid $100 each, and paying our dues and like finding every opportunity, whether it be small or big, to have that connection with people and show them what we have to provide, And yeah.
I would love to know the children's clothing story.
Oh yeah. Okay, this is actually genius. So we get our merch done here in Anchorage with Shirts Up, and we got a great deal on a bunch of children's shirts, and they kind of sat with us for a long time, and we just started giving them out because it's the best picture that anyone can post on social media is a picture of their kid in a Blackwater shirt, and it works, and it's so cute.
And they also didn't sell at all, so.
They didn't sell.
So shirts for exposure.
And we find their parents buy shirts.
Yes.
Nice. And tell me about the sponsorships. You guys have scored on sponsorships.
So we do a lot of reaching out to businesses. Part of it is like personal, like if we know people who are doing really cool stuff in Alaska, we'll reach out to them and talk about incorporating them. Obviously, we have a big van, and we feel like that's pretty good advertising space. But as a musician, like you're in front of a lot of people, and we go all over the state. We find that not only like I think for some businesses, do they definitely see it as a win-win where, they're investing in us and they're getting something out of it. But there are businesses in the state that are just passionate about music and are down to help. And
so they give you money to put their name on the van.
And we
have tiered sort of set up where people can buy in at where they're able to buy in. But really like the main thing is like, and it was a huge part of our success is like, or just like making it work, I should say, is like finding the individuals and companies that want to support you and giving them the opportunity to, right? And making that accessible as possible and like public facing. And so a lot of what we do is just like Kyle creates all kinds of graphics. He's an IT guy and like can like build out websites and make graphic designs for us and like help to get out that information to like people that like, because they exist. There's people that like what we do and people that don't, but the people that do, we want to give them the opportunity to support us. And that's been paramount to us making this work as working musicians.
All right. I like that. Lisa, can I get you up here and tell me a little bit about Pipeline Vocal Project? You guys can also go.
When did you guys show?
We're playing tonight at the Continental, which used to be Matsnuska Midtown, and it's going pretty sick. So.
Thanks for opening the books, guys. Hi, Lisa.
Wow.
See, you picked the correct joint. You've passed the test. So let's see. Let's skip ahead. Here we go. So you're part of a trio.
Yes.
Yes. And tell me about what you do. So.
We're an a cappella group of 3 women based here in Anchorage, but we do a lot of our touring outside of the state.
You do a lot of your touring outside of the hemisphere. But yeah. All right. So you guys are an LLC. What is an LLC?
An LLC is low liability company, which basically protects us from being sued independently. But I am a single member LLC, which is very similar to a sole proprietorship, but it just gives us a structure to operate business out of. And
so you're allowed to cash checks. You're allowed to operate.
Yes. Yeah.
But also you kind of own it as like you're the person behind it, as opposed to like every band member having an equal share.
Exactly.
Yeah. And why did you make that decision? I think it's a good decision. Why did you make it?
Well, I created the LLC before I started recruiting for band members.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of like knew that this is what I wanted to do, and then I created that structure, and then started looking for singers who were willing to be on this boat and build this boat with me. So that's why the LLC came first. And at that point, we weren't really making a whole lot of money. We also were formed right before COVID hit, so it didn't really make sense. And so they also had their jobs and weren't like able to invest like that time. And so it just made sense for it to be under like a single member.
Yeah. I love that merch is one of your like worst money-making scheme you ever tried, merch and CDs. Did you hit CDs like right at the wrong time?
Yeah, maybe. It just hasn't really worked for us very much. They're like a good like novelty, like pass out when you're touring. But in terms of getting money for the CD, it's a very, very low profit and revenue stream for us. So at this point, we just kind of like have it in the corner and it's like pay what you can, take a CD. We have way too many, so.
Yeah, but you lean into the social media pretty hard visual like video to get traction. Does that ever translate into money, and if so, how?
Yeah, actually, I would strongly say that we would not be where we are without social media. We had a video go viral in 2020 that got over 10 million views, and that really catapulted our career for us, and kind of got a lot of people's attention. It helped us get some brand deals online, and it opened, being an a cappella group, opened us up to more of our a cappella community. So they started hiring us for festivals, and also kind of gave us the foundation and credibility, if you will, when we put outreach and booking calls out there. To be able to have that following, because that one video got us 300,000 followers. So when people go and look at that page, they're like, oh, okay, they're a legit band, whatever that may mean for you.
Yeah. Like, so average gig, local 500, 600, out of state 3,500, and that's being divided between 3 people to live.
Yeah, kind of. So with local gigs, typically, yes, we divide between the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Above a certain threshold, and for most out-of-state gigs, we divide it 4 ways. So between the 3 of us, and then 25% goes into the business. And so that helps us like do all the upkeep and leave us some money for opportunities like recording projects, video projects, and other like self-planned tours that do require some capital to make happen. So we're able to self-fund that way.
You are very smart. I did not know that. I'm feeling embarrassed for not thinking of that before, but yeah. Annie, you have a question? Just go for it.
Your MOU, is it mostly financial, or does it have expectations for how to make decisions and operate as a group?
Great question. Both. There's that language about the certain threshold where we split 3 ways versus 4 ways, but then there's also language about how we hold each other accountable, and our like responsibilities within the group. Not necessarily like a division of responsibilities, but like we are showing up, and like if we don't show up and if we don't remain accountable to each other, then all of us lose money. All of us lose those opportunities, and it just kind of like, I don't know. It's like. I mean, for those of you who don't know what a memo of understanding is, it's not like, it's like a contract, but it's more of like a loose contract with like, yes, handshake, we will agree to upkeep and do these things. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay, I was scared to ask Nick about this, so instead I asked the next best thing, which is Chazz Gist from Ketchikan. Man of 1,000 bands, and also teaching, and I love it. If you guys don't know Chazz, Chazz plays with Dude Mountain and Not Pipeline Vocal Project. There we go, right. Dude Mountain. All right.
Yeah, so I answered these questions just as myself, right? As you know, Dude Mountain is the people in Dude Mountain, for them it's a part-time operation. We have 2-3 gigs a week, maybe 1 or 2 in the off season, which is now. And then 3 or 4 in the on season, which is, you know, summertime. It's a very manic kind of schedule in the Southeast, right? So we have a huge kind of big city energy in the summertime with all the tourism and all the seasonal workers.
So that's in Ketchikan that you have big city music energy, because
Yes.
the rest of Southeast does not have summertime big city music energy necessarily. So y'all have built that. I just want to point out.
Right.
And other cities can build it also.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
But okay, so you're gigging several times a week in summer, less in winter, and it's part-time for the other guys? Is it
For the other
closer
guys, they have either one owns a business, runs with his wife, the other's just like a bartender. Right, but I have very many bands that I work with. Most of my travel is just as a independent bassist roaming around and doing mercenary bass work, essentially. Yeah.
I'm definitely picturing the machine gun inside the case, like
Right.
which is what you wanted me to, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So mercenary bass for hire. 12 to 16 bands. Each of those bands has to have a different number of people. So how on earth do you keep straight what percentage of each of those you're owed and who's going to pay you? Or do you try and be the guy getting paid so you?
I'm
get to
usually
decide?
the guy getting paid and divvying everything up, however, whatever makes sense. Yeah.
Got it. So because you're the most organized, you get to be the one who makes sure that you don't have to wait for 3 months for someone to remember to fill that invoice.
I'm organized and sober, and it's because I'm the only one who's doing doing it only that.
Yeah.
You know, to a certain extent, when everyone else, it's a fun, happy thing to go have a gig on a weekend, but it is very much, I take it very seriously, and so I'm usually the one that's talking to venues with any kind of entity that I'm operating. If I'm traveling around, usually that's all kind of taken care of for me by whatever entity is hiring me, whether it's a band or like somebody organized a band and it's like a wedding or something. That biggest gig ever was just a big wedding in Craig, Alaska, of all places.
In Craig.
Yeah.
Yay. I love this. I
Yeah.
love this. Does it ever cause friction that sometimes the other people in these other bands are like, I'm a part-timer, I'm doing this for fun on the weekend, and for you it's your life?
No, not really. I just don't
Okay.
talk about it.
Yeah. And you make sure you manage the money so you don't
Yeah.
have to wait on them to like remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I like that as a priority for making sure that this works for you. Average gig pay, that's probably about the same as mine right now, $150.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. In the so this is, as most of my work in Ketchikan is just filling restaurants and bars on the weekdays. Right.
Yeah.
So on weeknights I'm usually in restaurants and I have a like a string trio gig and then we film bars on the weekends. Our Dude Mountain, for instance, usually our local rate is $1,200 at local bars, right? And we try and, which has raised damn near $80 a year on average.
Okay. So you're like
That we've
gradually
moved
leveling up your ask.
Not just from Dude Mountain, but maybe 10 years ago, we started playing more in local restaurants. This is before Dude Mountain, just with whatever entities are playing around. And we started playing around a little bit more and more. And as you create these opportunities places and create this expectation that when you go to a bar or somewhere or a restaurant that there's music there, now there's more demand and people, oh, well, this one has music and I'll go hang out at this one. And then other places want music and you create that demand, which creates more price that you can charge. And so we've been raising those expectations over time quite a bit in Ketchikan and slowly trying to push that out a little bit. But especially in the Southeast, we're all kind of on city states and we don't, it's not very casual to
I'm
zip
picturing a
over
lot of little
anywhere else.
castles now.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I have to know about the jerky, but I also just want to point out there's nothing to say about it, but that you write everything down on paper and you use your noggin as the app. Okay.
I don't really use any apps.
Your noggin is not my noggin.
It's usually very straightforward. It's usually cash and it's right there and I divvy it up.
Okay.
If it's a check, take it, deal with it, divvy it up.
Okay.
Right. And it's just there's not that many moving parts.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you have not that many? Okay. All right. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you have not that many moving parts? Okay. There's 16 bands. But tell me about the jerky.
So we have our friend from Nashville, Joel, has been coming to Ketchikan. We have this kind of Nashville Ketchikan pipeline a little bit where we have a lot of people coming up every summer through Joel and through our guitarist Cullen, who's also from Nashville. And we get a lot of this cool cross-pollination there. But Joel got real depressed and he started, he's like, I'm not making enough money. I got to figure out some way to do merch at my gigs. He's usually between Nashville, Chattanooga, and Atlanta. And he wasn't making enough money, wanted to figure out something he could do without feeling fake or like putting his face on something or making a cheap thing that people buy one of and that's it. I need renewable merch. What can I do with that? And then he had a brain blast and I love making jerky and I make jerky for the boys every time we go on a trip. Let's sell jerky from a cooler for $10. And he quadruples his money on the jerky. And that's why he does the gigs now. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
And it's good. He uses some kind of special.
You can't eat a
Southern
CD.
thing. Yeah, you can't eat a CD. You can't even play it most of the time. I can't play a CD. So what are you gonna do?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chazz. I really appreciate you sharing. That leaves us on a good note. I want to be fair and open up my books too and just say that like your music life is going to have stages and they are going to change. I had stages of my life where I didn't live anywhere and scrambled to tour, which was actually just couch surfing so that nobody figured out that I didn't have anywhere to live. And that's a thing that a lot of us go through and it's fine for a lot of us. I mean, it's not fine, but also it's a thing you can live through and come out the other side of, and that a lot of people have. Don't assume people haven't. You can get extremely wealthy and then suddenly have a divorce or a single, like health thing. You can get a splinter and have to go to, and then everything can change. That means that your raft is going to look different throughout your life, and that's okay. I was at the point where I was sometimes getting to command, several $1,000s a gig like some of these folks. And that came from the point where I was playing for free at coffee houses, doing all pay as you can gigs, scrambling to make it to a gig that 3 people showed up to, and I'd driven 300 miles. And, that kind of life is good, and it changes over time. You don't have to always be in one place or the other. You can add new logs to your raft. You can set some free. I'm in a place now where I'm back to that like $100 a gig because I started over and have a new craft, and my rope is like still really green and it's not holding everything together yet. But you know what? That's okay. I just want to encourage you that wherever you are, at whatever phase you are at right now, it is probably not permanent, but that's not a bad thing. The strength we're going to find in this music ecosystem is from hanging on to each other, is from throwing out a line, not trying to pull each other onto our rafts, but by trying to make a flotilla, by valuing the connections between us without trying to sink anybody and without trying to copy anybody. But sharing exactly the kind of information we just shared now that I hope is going to give some of you some ideas. So ask the people in your life, the musicians doing anything like you, if you're in music therapy, talk to other music therapists. If you are building guitars, talk to other guitar builders. If you are tuning drums, talk to other drum tuners about what they're doing or what solutions they may have found. Share openly, don't expect anyone to carry you, and build the best raft you can. I am going to invite up my good friend Michael Dickerson to begin our next panel. Thank you guys so much for listening to Money Talks.